Back with us on the SportsMax Zone, President of the Jamaica Football Federation, JFF, Michael Ricketts, has been kept busy all day shooting down rumours that Theodore Whitmore has been sacked as head coach and replaced with former England international Ricky Hill. The rumour mill cranked into high gear on Tuesday evening, moments after the Reggae Boyz were held to a 1-1 draw by the United States in a crucial World Cup qualifier at the National Stadium in Kingston. Now, the speculation was sparked by a report that the JFF's technical committee had convened a meeting mere hours after the game to discuss Whitmore's future. Then late on Wednesday, a report emerged that the technical committee had not only asked Whitmore, but had also recommended the appointment of former England international Ricky Hill as his replacement. That report then spread like wildfire, only for the JFF boss to contradict them hours later. Ricky Hill also took to social media to deny that he had been tapped to replace Tappa. This is what Ricky Hill posted. He was responding to a Carl Ricketts who said, "Congrats on the book and your selection as our national coach. Big up." Ricky Hill said, "Hey Carl, this is news to you and I both. No idea where the information derived from. Coach Whitmore and the squad are still fighting hard. Keep well." Then Ricky Hill responding to MCR. MCR says, but Ricky said nothing, Nagosa. Ricky Hill, can we get some clarity, sir? Ricky Hill, hi MCR, all I can add is I'm not sure how my name became embroiled in this current story of events. Any coach, including Coach Whitmore, shouldn't have to witness this type of misinformation whilst being the incumbent coach. Well, this is Michael Ricketts speaking in an interview with Nationwide's Abka Fitzhenley earlier on Thursday, addressing the issue of Whitmore's supposed sacking.
Hi, morning, Mr. Ricketts. This is Abka Fitzhenley here from Nationwide. How are you?
I'm alright.
Yeah, I see a lot of speculation in the online space, not at my place.
Speculation is the correct word.
Yeah, that Tappa Whitmore has been sacked. What can you tell me that's quotable?
That I have been hearing some stories that are not true. Coach Whitmore has not been fired, and Ricky Hill is not the coach. So there's no truth to the story. It is all speculation.
Okay.
So we can rest that as it is right now, that Ricky Hill is not the coach, and Whitmore is still the coach.
Okay, so how did the meeting of the technical committee end last night? Can you comment on that?
Well, we're waiting on a report. They're supposed to send a report to us today.
Okay, so as we speak, Tappa Whitmore is still the coach, head coach of the Reggae Boyz.
I heard that he has resigned. I heard that he has been fired. I am not aware of none of those.
So, and you gather if he had resigned by now, you would have known?
I ought to have known.
Okay. Do you know, is it true that the technical committee have voted in favor of parting ways with Whitmore?
Well, I am not aware. Like I say, I'm waiting on a report that ought to be prepared and sent to me this morning.
Thank you for your time, so all the very best.
Okay.
All right, so the first voice you heard, Abka Fitzhenley, Nationwide 90 from the leading newsman in Jamaica, speaking with the JFF boss, Michael Ricketts. Then Fitzhenley then asked Ricketts to clarify how any recommendation from the technical committee regarding a change of coach is dealt with by the JFF.
Mr. Ricketts, Fitzhenley here again. I wanted to clarify something with you quickly. If the technical committee votes in favor of sacking the head coach, is the federation duty bound to accept that recommendation?
No, not at all. No, not at all.
Okay, very well, good.
That report will go to the executive body for a meeting, probably for a weekend or maybe early next week. And then we'll discuss it with directors thereafter.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, cool.
All right, so that's the interview that was conducted earlier today and which we had the privilege of sharing with you, courtesy of Nationwide 90 FM and, of course, the journalist who did that interview, Abka Fitzhenley. So you heard from Mike Ricketts there. What do you have to say?
Well, first of all, I'm happy that he cleared the air, because I said in the opening of the show, there was a point, George and Lance, where it started to feel as if it was real. And I say that because I saw a tweet from Ravel Morrison where he was actually responding to the quote-unquote sacking. So that's when I started to say, well, maybe there's some truth to this. Because where did Ravel get the news from? I doubt he would just, look at what's happening on social media and respond. So that's when, it started to feel very, very real. Based on what Ricketts have said, he is awaiting the report, and I'm hoping... Is he joining us, for sure?
Well, we tried to get him. The producer is still trying, but we haven't got that confirmation yet, because we're trying to reach him for the show today and the chairman of the technical committee with all speed.
Because, George, based on what is filed in that report will depend on, what happens to coach. So it's really
instructive
up to that.
the Ravel Morrison tweet that you made reference to just now, Mariah, Ravel's position was in fact shock and disagreement with any decision to sack Coach Whitmore, because the team had played well and were on the improve as far as he's concerned, and in his estimation only denied by a referee's error in the game. So he was very, very averse to any decision to sack Coach Whitmore. Well, that's what he tweeted on social media. Having said that, what the JFF president has outlined is the fact that no decision has yet been made. And the technical committee's report is still to get to the committee that he speaks of. And we are still awaiting a decision, because a decision is pending. And there is no doubt that Whitmore's job is on the line. And I suspect that in a couple of days, we would hear something concrete, whether he stays or he goes. As I said, though, very, very interesting that Ravel Morrison coming out in responding to the rumor that he had been sacked was very unhappy, or his narrative was that he didn't think Coach Whitmore should be sacked.
And I remember in my personal one-on-one interview with Damian Lowe too, when, the calls for Whitmore were very heavy to go, everybody was asking for him to go. I asked Damian Lowe if he thought Coach Tappa Whitmore should go, and he also was in disagreement to that. So it's not just Ravel. I believe a lot of the players in the camp thinks that coach is leading them in the right direction, and they want him to stay on.
Well, a couple of things. Firstly, the Ravel Morrison tweet would have come a few hours before that interview with Ricketts. It would have come at the height of the speculation, when everybody was thinking that, yes, the decision had been made and it was true. Yeah? So Ricketts' interview came hours after that. So it's important to put that out there so that people understand the timeline. The next thing is, the Ravel Morrison tweet, like both of you, I'm putting a lot of store in it. But I'm saying from that tweet that Ravel Morrison, a reggae boy who, I don't want to say he's disconnected from Jamaica, but in reality, he is not an organic reggae boy, meaning that he doesn't have the ties here that the bulk of the squad does. Him, like many others who are overseas based and who were born overseas. Yeah. I don't think that if Ravel Morrison was local based and could call the people who many of the local based or the organic players could call to find out if it was true, would then make that tweet. I think that because Ravel is removed from the Jamaican space and the contact, so he may have an assistant coach who was his coach in high school, or the equipment manager who was his colleague here, or a friend there, or even somebody close to the administrative part of the JFF he could call to say it was really true. So if you notice who tweeted, so I would expect that if that tweet would come from a reggae boy, it would be one of those overseas-based ones. So I can understand Ravel not being inside the bubble and not having hands on the direct information making that tweet. Beyond that, though, I think what Ricketts said, which I'm holding on to, is the process. Because many people believe that if the technical committee determines, whether by vote or by acclamation, that Whitmore should go, that he should go, Ricketts is saying no. It would be a recommendation. And I mean, he didn't even have to say that for me to understand that if you're a part of a committee, because boards have committees, a committee decides on something, it's not a fait accompli. Yeah? It has to be endorsed by the broader board. So Ricketts says, well, the technical committee can make any recommendation, The board of directors of the JFF will then have to take that recommendation, consider it, debate it, and then decide on that recommendation. And it is only that decision that carries, whichever way it goes.
Yeah.
So the technical committee recommending in itself is not the trigger that will cause that to happen. And I think it's important to point that out, because the narrative that we've been hearing around the rumors seems to suggest that once the technical committee says either or, go or stay, then that is the decision. Ricketts is reminding us that no, that's not how it works.
I'm happy he did that. I'm happy because, George, I feel like a lot of the people that have been commenting, and I know we're going to hear from them maybe a bit later in the show and whatnot, the public's view, they're not fully aware of how the thing really works. They're not aware of the process, because many people were talking about the fact that once this report comes back, they expect that coach will go. And I'm just happy that we heard from the horse's mouth itself that it's nothing like that. This doesn't determine Tappa's future. It's a bit more to that.
Yeah. Can we elevate the discussion a bit, though, to trying to read into some of the things that President Ricketts had said in our interview with him a few days ago? Because he made it very clear, George, that this coaching staff has been given every single thing they have asked for. They have invested very, very heavily into a successful program, and he pretty much said that the coaching or the performance of the team has underachieved given the investment, and he listed George and Mariah several things that they asked for and they were given. So if I was to read into the president's position on Whitmore's tenure as coach, I would think, given what he has said, that if the vote was his and a recommendation comes to him from the technical committee that Whitmore should be sacked, I see him taking that recommendation.
I don't think so. And I'll say that based on the last game. I get the sense that the way how the Reggae boys played, and I agree, they didn't get the full 3 points, but the manner in which they conducted themselves and the last 2 games, I get the sense that people are understanding that there is a plan, and I don't think that if it was for Michael Ricketts, I don't think he would sack him.
What are your thoughts, George?
I want to be with Mariah, but I have to go with you, because guess what, Mariah? Mike Ricketts.
You want to be with Mariah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike Ricketts, on the point. Mike Ricketts basically set the stage with his one vote, or maybe he has the casting vote as head there, to endorse a decision to so do. And we're not putting words in Mike Ricketts' mouth, because
no,
he has not said so. We're just deducing from what the body of information that is on the table. The El Salvador and USA games represent 4 points dropped. At this stage of the campaign, the JFF can't afford, or doesn't have the luxury of being swayed or buoyed by quality of performance. It is only results that matter from here, because we're in the home stretch of the octagonal. If the El Salvador and US performance came after 4 games or after 2 games, I would be agreeing with you 100%.
Yeah. We're not quite into the home stretch, George. We have left the half mile and beginning the first part of the final turn.
Very well. All right. So I'm just saying that it is too late in the campaign to go off only performances. Points are what matter. And he was the one, he initiated the discussion, and I took him further to say that we have given this group of coaching staff, more than everything they've asked for. And I said, well, do you think that they have gotten more than any other coaching staff in the history of Jamaica's football? You're going back to Organized 24 from 1954 and coming forward, before independence. He's saying that they have gotten more than anybody else. Now, if you're at the stage where you are 7 points behind the 4th playoff place, then I can't see him setting out his stall that way and not support a decision to change course. Because remember, Mariah, he said in the interview, if we don't get the result against the USA, which is the win, not 1 point, but 3 points, if we don't get that, I said, are you willing after that, if you don't get the result, to do anything to shake up and try to finish as strong as possible, try to get the dream? He said, George, I will do anything. That's not a man who's going to abide by, 2 points in the last 2 games, let's keep the status
I know we
quo.
have to go to a break, but unless they bring in Thomas Tuchel to shake up this squad, I think the timing right now is extremely bad. We're going to break, right?
Yeah, there's a question for you to ask.
All right, as we go to break, is it sensible to sack Tappa at this time? I want you to send us a voice note to 876-564-7661 to be played later on the show. Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. So the Zone team took to the streets of Kingston today to ask Jamaicans whether they think a change of coach is necessary for the Reggae Boyz ahead of the team's remaining games in the octagonal qualifying group.
How close have you been watching the Reggae Boyz?
Well, honestly, I watched a couple of the games, but not all of them necessarily still. But, the last two games, I watch them still and see the performance and all of that still.
All right, the USA game in particular, how did you feel the Reggae Boyz played in that game?
Well, honestly, I feel like them play 100% because, first of all, when we look on the midfield, the midfield area weak, and the back line kind of want to strengthen a bit more. You see me? And in terms of attacking, we have the attackers them up there. Antonio Conte, you don't know, he might do the thing. And like when David, like the goal that scored in that game, keep in the loop.
All right. There have been growing speculations that Theodore Whitmore might have coached his last game for Jamaica against USA. Do you think Jamaica should move on from Tappa Whitmore?
Well, honestly, the things they would have changed him from before this still, from a longer time. But honestly, right now, which point we reach, I know when we see like them try to make a difference, like a little change, in terms of not losing the last two games, which them should have win the 3 points, the 6 points, but they never do it. But maybe them, the length of which the campaign reach now, and them do the thing. I think them should just make him just finish out the rest of the campaign and done.
I'm not interested for watch now, because them not going nothing at all.
But it's Jamaica.
Go country go do farming.
All right, there's growing speculations that Theodore Tappa Whitmore is about to get sacked. Do you think Jamaica should move on from Tappa?
Yeah, if you go home.
Why? You have to give me a reason.
If you go home, because Reggae Boyz not going nothing at all. Nothing.
So that means you don't think the Reggae Boyz will make it to Qatar 2022 for the World Cup?
No, them not make it. Them not make it. That one, them don't even know who to say. They don't even know who to say, who to take out the coach.
Any coach from England? Anybody?
No, man. Jamaica if just mash up no football for there. Then them not qualify to play football. Well, you know, something we can make it, but the only way we can make it right now, I have to let go Theodore. Yeah, I don't feel like Whitmore, I use the player them in the right coordination and the right way. You hear that? I swear.
All right, so if we should fire Theodore Tappa Whitmore, who you think Jamaica should replace him with?
With an overseas based coach.
Which name would come to mind? Tell me one coach you think would do a good job in Jamaica.
Right now, I don't have a name in mind, but you know, Brazil are the land of football. Yeah, take a coach from this, that's where René Simons come from, though. 98, where we go World Cup, though. So I don't know. So we have to work with we, though.
So you're saying the only way Jamaica will make it to World Cup is if they replace Tappa Whitmore?
Yeah, we have to replace Tappa. Tappa now use the ball of them in the right coordination and all them for work. You see me? Yeah, you not try out nothing new. We need somebody where try some things. Tappa now have the energy towards the player them. You see me? On the sideline, I feel like Tappa too relaxed, too complacent. You need some of Jose Mourinho style and some of Pep mixed with a little clap. You see me? Yeah.
Leave my business. Leave my business. Leave my business and mind your own. You're not relaxed.
Well, we heard some views from the Jamaica football-loving public. They said, "Dem na make it. Tappa must go. We need a combination of Jose Mourinho and Jurgen Klopp."
He said Pep and a little Klopp.
Oh, he said Pep?
Yeah, I think he said Pep, yeah.
I had Mourinho too.
He said Mourinho.
Yeah, he said Mourinho, yeah.
Yeah, so we need some Pep. We need a little bit of Klopp. What do you think about those comments, George? Is it that the public has been misinformed?
Look, we as paid analysts and commentators and those who've been doing this kind of analysis for years at various levels of football. We are expected to dissect, to look at pros and cons, to weigh and measure, to balance, and to offer critique more than criticism. The public doesn't have that responsibility. The public is weaned on criticism. As far as the public is concerned, it doesn't matter why Tappa is not helping the team to win 3 points in games. It just matters that he's not helping the team to win 3 points in games. And they see black and white. They don't see nuance. So I can understand the public saying he has to go. I can understand it. Personally, well, we were here on the set, and I think it was 3 games ago that I said, no, we need to stick with him. At this stage, men lie, women lie, numbers don't, and we're short on numbers. If we were to make that change, I wouldn't be unhappy. But if we kept him, I wouldn't be unhappy either.
You know, and that's where my view comes in, because it's the same thing. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, but I love Jamaican football. And, you know, I love looking at the Reggae boys. I have a passion for when you all play and whatnot. But George and Lance, sometimes in this life, we need to, and I said it before, time in. If Tappa goes, who comes in? And, you know, we heard the story about Ricky Hill. Ricky Hill is 62 years old. When he was coaching Luton, they were relegated. He coached another club after that. They won the championship. But he hasn't been in practice for 7 years as a coach. So if not Tappa, then who? And that who that comes in, is that person going to turn around this Reggae Boys team in 5 games? Is it that you're going to put the boys through something that they have to start back where chemistry is concerned, and we know how much problems they had, you know, gelling and all these different things with the international players. So are you going to put them through that pressure of now learning this new coach?
Well, the JFF's technical committee would have studied all of the parameters that you just spoke of. And I would suspect that if they are thinking that Whitmore should be replaced, they would technically have a good reason for doing so. With regard to the comments in the Vox Pop that we just saw, I found them pretty entertaining. And I must say that interacting with fans on the street and listening to a lot of the talk shows that discuss sports, the popular view is that Whitmore is not good enough for this job. That's the popular view. And that was reflected in the comments that we just heard.
Yeah.
But as George correctly mentioned, a lot of those comments come from emotion. And these are fans who are not seeing the result they want, so they are reacting to the lack of success of the team. When the job of Whitmore goes beyond that, and his job is a difficult job, and there are many reasons why he hasn't gotten the results that he and the entire Jamaican football fraternity would want. Part of it, as I've said on the show just now, is that there are many cases where the players have let him down.
Yeah.
And a coach cannot go there, and we know Whitmore as a player and the value he had as a Jamaican player when he was playing. But he can't go onto the field and do some of the things that he wants the players to do. And there are many players who have underperformed in this series.
But that's why those who call for a change, you've just given them reason to strengthen their argument about a change, because they're saying, yes, we want a coach who can get the players to perform. Because you're correct that so many players have underperformed. Lance, don't forget, I looked at you and said to you after Bobby Reid missed, I said to you, Lance, what is going to happen? We're going to either draw or lose this game, and people are going to blame Tappa for Bobby Reid failing to finish from about 5 yards. And that's unbelievable. When Bobby Reid should be the one holding the can, but he won't because he's a player, we're going to blame Tappa. Here's the thing, though.
Can I say this quickly before you say that, though, George, that I think Whitmore should take some of the pressure for Reid playing.
Yes.
Because I think he should have been playing. I didn't think he should be playing. So Whitmore has to take the responsibility for having on the field in the first place, because his form has been dismal,
But I'll
George.
say this to you, though, before I make my substantive point. I'll say this to you. Perhaps it is that Whitmore was right to play Bobby Reid.
Yes.
Because Bobby Reid got in the position to score. And it is left up to now Bobby Reid, who played... This man played in the Premier League last year. Playing in the Championship
Which is one of the reasons I'm sure why Whitmore has faith in him.
So Whitmore will tell you that, but there's nothing wrong with my selection of Bobby Reid, because he got in the position to do what he's paid week in, week out to do at club level. And what he has been training since he was a boy.
Which is a good point, George. Good point.
So here's the thing, though. I'm saying that we must not forget that Whitmore in this position is particularly vulnerable because people have numerous examples of national teams who've changed coach either midway, partway, or late in a World Cup qualifying campaign and resurrected their form to the extent that they've qualified for a World Cup. Famous example. In the lead up to the 2002 the qualification for the 2002 World Cup in Japan, South Korea, Brazil were floundering. They sacked the coach. Luis Felipe Scolari came in. The rest is history. They won that tournament. Then, if you're talking about in this region, in the build up to the 2016 World Cup, it may have been. What, not 2016,
06.
No, I'm talking about Klinsmann at the USA.
Okay, yes, Klinsmann.
Klinsmann dined with Barack Obama, Angela Merkel, and some big wigs one night. Had breakfast with them the next morning and was sacked the day after as USA coach because they were floundering in qualifying. What did they do? They appointed a coach who took them to the World Cup. So that was a campaign that was falling apart in the hands of someone who had been a star at the World Cup, had won a World Cup, yeah, and who was failing on the job. They changed him, the USA qualified. We carry CONCACAF qualifying, CONMEBOL qualifying on SportsMax. So let's go to South America. When Messi was banned for 4 games, Argentina were going through a particularly rough patch. Yeah. And Edgardo Bauza was at the helm. Argentina were not going to qualify for the last World Cup. What did they do? They sacked him. We all know what happened. The team rallied, qualified for the World Cup, although they flopped the day. But the point is, you'll run out of space on your paper to write countries who've sacked a coach of a faltering team, replaced him with someone who has gotten that team to qualify. Yeah. So the evidence is strong for those who say make the change now. Yeah. I'm saying though, I believe that we're here. If we continue with Tappa Whitmore, I won't complain.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Whitmore as the coach, George, because I think his body of work overall as the coach has been good enough to support him staying on. It's just that we are in a desperate position now as far as qualifying is concerned. And I'm with you, George. If he is sacked, I won't quarrel. If he stays on, I won't quarrel either, because I think the players need to perform better. And I have seen Whitmore perform as a coach that tells me he can get the job done. Yeah. And to add to your point, and to just point out the fact that Mariah made earlier on about a 62-year-old coming in, Leo Binhacker, when he was given the job as Trinidad's coach, when they were floundering in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying, was, I think, about 64 years old at the time, and he reversed the fortunes of TNT and got them to win. Yes. Right. So there is precedence for Caribbean teams struggling, changing their coach, and getting results
and
after
coaching
that.
is not a young man's game.
Right.
It's a smart man's game, regardless of your age.
The moral of the story is we just want to qualify for the World Cup. That's it. We go to break.